Hey guys, John Faulkner here with Survival Dispatch, and today I'm going to introduce you to an event that we did back in September 6th and 7th. 5 of us went out for a 48-hour, no tools, no nothing survival challenge. We were up in Epworth, Georgia. It's on the Appalachian Trail. Me, Chris Weatherman, Alan Kay, and then we were joined by 2 guests of Alan's, great guys, Jason Sallier and Jason Patrick, and fantastic guys. Super squared away and funny guys to be around with. And I'll tell you guys, you know, we had a fantastic time doing this. It was difficult from time to time, but it was pretty much 48 hours with absolutely nothing but the clothes that we had on us, with the stipulation that we could not use our clothes as tools also. So, you know, there wasn't, you know, cutting shirts and making char cloth or anything like that. But within the 48 hours, we were able to build a shelter large enough for 5 guys, get a fire started with nothing but what we found you know, in the woods, get water. We were able to find a small little spring that we were able to get enough water for the 5 of us through. And then we did things like, you know, we made a bowl out of some white pine bark, so we were able to transport water, which you'll start to see as a very big thing. Without having tools, you know, a lot of phrases were said like, hey, can you pass me the good rock? You know, hold on, let me make a little bit more cordage for you. So we really started to find, you know, how just small, you know, little tools, man, if we just had one knife within our campsite, how much easier it would have been. But how you can get things done like boiling water, we were able to get that done with no tools on hand at all. So we're going to have a couple part series here. We really hope you enjoy it, and you know, come along for the ride and see how we got through 48 hours with no tools.
All right, so I am planning on having a rip-roaring fire here any minute. It's gonna happen. So I'm just going ahead and setting myself up for success, and I'm getting my my fire lay up off the ground. The ground isn't soaked because it hasn't rained in a couple days, but it is damp. I can feel coolness there, and if I was to lay my tinder bundle right on that ground, it might soak up some moisture and go out on me, and I don't have time for that. So
ain't got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. So I'm raising this up off here. I built myself kind of a log cabin with sticks. Right. That's gonna get me up off the ground. This is much warmer to the feel. I can feel it just by putting my hand on it. It's dry. And now I'm gonna be able to lay my tinder bundle and my kindling on top of this, and it's gonna be able to catch up no problem. And then it's gonna burn itself down into this, and that's gonna be fuel that's already on the fire for me. So there you go. That's the plan. So I'm prepping the yucca spindle here, and I'm getting it as ready as possible for my fire. And I'm using all these dead sticks here. These are about as bone dry as it gets, so these will definitely be helpful for our fire. So I'm just saving all the resources I've got, and I'm going to take my time. I could probably just break this off here, but I risk splitting it down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my multi-tool here, and I'm going to score all the way around it. And after I score all the way around it, I should be able to snap it nice and clean and give me the nice straight length that I'm looking for my hand drill spindle. And once I score the hole outside, the inside of a yucca is just pith. It's really soft, which is kind of the characteristics of what you're looking for hand drill materials anyway. But once I score all the way around the outside of this baby, kind of like that, take my time, get all the way around, and then just carefully pop it, and then it doesn't splinter off, and it'll be a little bit more durable. I'm just gonna start carrying this in my pocket from now on, instead of a knife.
All you need. That's actually TSA approved.
TSA, so if you're traveling, friends, TSA approved.
Yeah. Now they'll probably take that too.
Yeah, that's right. What is that?
Be in an Angry American store soon.
No, hey, that's a support stone.
Yes.
You can carry it with you.
That's
it.
Support stone.
It's a pet rock. That's right.
You don't know till you go. You know what I mean?
That's what they say. So I'm just trying to strip this thing down a little bit and make it smoother so it's a little bit easier on my hands. And it's got kind of these nodes sticking out where the flowers used to come out of the stalk. So I'm trying to knock those down a little bit and make it a little bit easier on my hands. So right now I'm just trying to carve a depression with these rocks, and then I'm testing to see if it's going to be big enough to seat my spindle here, and I think it's going to be just fine. You just don't want it to be so shallow that it'll hop out of there and go into the dirt. So I'm just kind of working it in there, making sure it's not going to hop out on me. So you can see I'm already getting a little bit of dust buildup around the perimeter of my my gouged out depression there, and I could probably get a little bit of smoke just from barely applying any downward pressure at all. And that is a good thing. You can see it starting to darken a little bit. That means I'm getting a little bit of heat, and that's perfect. That's really a good sign. That tells me that I'm probably going to be able to get an ember out of this. I don't know yet for sure, but I'm probably going to have some success. So I'm going to leave this stuff up here to dry, stay in the sunshine there a little bit, what's left. And then all I need to do now is go get my tinder out of the sun, and then I'll carve a notch in this, and then we'll be ready to rock.
So what we're doing is we're refining our tinder. You know, this is obviously pretty big. We want stuff that's kind of hair-like. See, as we separate this, some of this finer stuff, see the dust fly off of it. So this is what I want to have initial contact with my coal. And anything I find that's really big, I'm going to separate out. And that's my secondary tinder. That's the stuff I'm going to wrap around the edges. And we can refine some of that thicker stuff also. But things like that feel really barky, it'll just stand out to your hands, you'll feel it. And there's still a little moisture in this, so that's going to be challenging. But anyway, by braiding this stuff, we're just rubbing it against itself. Pull it apart and rub, pull it apart and rub. And if we had a stone or even the side of a tree where the tree bark is, something that's rough, we can abrade it that way. But we want to make this stuff just as fine as we can get it.
Yeah, man.
And I kind of did a little loose wrapping already, but just when you make your bowl, that gives you where it won't burn through.
Yep.
You can keep it in that pocket.
That's probably enough right there, actually.
See, that's good and solid on the tinder bundle.
Oh, that's gonna be good.
Yeah, that gives us some mass on the back side. I think that'll be enough. Yeah, I can smell that. That's got a good smell to it.
All right, so anytime you're doing a friction fire, moisture is kind of the enemy. And I'm being really cautious about where I'm putting this. I'm treating it like it's precious. If I let this touch the ground and it gets wet at all, fire's just not gonna happen. So I'm being really cautious. I'm putting it up on top of my pile of sticks there, making sure it's not gonna fall off into the wet mud or anything like that. Same thing here. I've got a rock on the ground that's gonna hold my my hearth board so it doesn't roll off. If I put this directly on the dirt like that and try to make my friction fire, it's not gonna happen. Like, it's 100% no chance of me getting a coal there. As soon as it hits the wet ground, it's just gonna fizzle out. So just being really careful to make sure everything stays really dry.
Another important point is before you begin the process of actually going for that coal, make sure the tinder's prepped and make sure your pyre is set and make sure you have extra wood to add to that to establish a coal base. Because a lot of people get one started only to run off and go find some firewood, come back to no fire.
Fire's out.
Yeah, I've seen that done many times.
So smart.
I'll go ahead and stage a couple of these pine cones because they're basically what you make a feather stick. You know, you expose surface area.
And they've got that pine pitch resin on them already.
Exactly.
Today's our day.
1, 2. Got 2 more.
One beard hair.
Do you want them yet?
One beard hair.
Have any luck with that one?
Not as much. It's not as refined as that first stone. Maybe this one. Now, sometimes you can find a good piece, but a lot of times it's pretty crumbly. But you see, working against that soft wood, it's making a pretty good notch.
All right, so we're gonna go for it. We've got both of us here, so if I can't get an ember on my first go, he's ready to rock and he's ready to step right in if I get tired. We've got everything staged. This is up off the ground on a nice flat dry rock. We've got our tinder bundle ready to go, so we can transfer that into that and then stuff it into our little kindling house there and hopefully blow it into flames. Not dark enough.
Yeah. It's getting darker though. But yeah, we need to see black dust, so that's a little bit of a concern.
Hop in there. That's looking better. Yeah, that's more gooder. Yeah, you got it.
We got a coal.
Yeah, it's a coal.
But I'm not gonna stop, guys,
Get it bigger.
because the more dust I can create, the more robust. Yeah.
Good job.
All right.
That's a
Come
coal.
off my stick.
Yep.
Tippity tap. Pull this. Pull that. And with no rush, let it build. Make sure all our dust is kind of togetherified.
Togetherified?
Yeah,
It's a technical term.
it is.
Not everybody's familiar with that.
No, they're not. They should be. That was too easy.
Yeah, that worked out pretty good, didn't it?
Yeah, yucca is the shiznick,
It's by far the best.
the shizzle.
The shizzle.
Yeah, let's just let that rest a second. All right, do your thing. Keep our stick. We have to bring it around the coal some.
It's about to go. There it is.
It's a lot of moisture. There we go.
Voila.
Good job, bro.
Nice work, man. We have fire. Man, make fire.
Ik maak zeer met mijn handen. So now that we got it started, we need to go get bigger wood and lay in a good supply. I've got small stuff here on standby. If we need to bring the fire back to life, we can. I'm going to take the hearth and the spindle that we used and put them up off the ground, and later we'll bring them into the shelter. But for now, I might hang them up in a tree or something to protect them from moisture in case we need them again. Look, that tinder bundle's still there.
Is it still burning?
Yeah.
It's still wet enough to stay there?
Fire psychologically, I mean, we have companionship because we're out here, but especially if you're by yourself, fire's huge. Main thing, we just need to keep covering the shelter, keep stacking firewood. So I guess that's what I'm going to do, is go look like big logs now. Now we want to
Yeah.
rest in big.